When you speak about something, when you tell a story, a lived reality or lived stories, they give hope, they inspire other people. And these are like archives for our community, like people get to learn that, these people exist, or in future they know that people have existed before, like us, you know, where these people say we have never existed before, and yet there are actually a lot of trans stories, Asian trans stories out there. It's just that uh, they're not vividly put out or recorded, So this is amazing work that you guys are doing. I just wanted to thank you, first of all, for that.
Welcome to Debunque. I'm your host, Mariana Schwetze. And this month on Debunque, we interview a trans man in Uganda on his incredibly resilient journey. This is Jay Otita. So, hi, Jay. I thank so much for taking the time to talk to us today. I wanted to start by asking you to tell us a little bit about your story and how you came to understand your gender identity.
I think transition is mostly um, it's something that is mental, first of all, psychological. So I started when it's weird actually when I was so young. I was about 2.5 years when I rejected feminine stuff, clothes, shoes, all that stuff. Yeah. So I grew up of course in a very, very crazy environment, very rigid, very strong on culture. It's been a hard journey for me. Living around people who were just so heteronormative and all that. And people who are very, very religious and use religion to oppress people. From a family of 7, the sixth, the second last born. Of course, I was the last born for some time until my little brother was born. So, um, I used to hang out with my big bro so much, and then I chose to be with him because his energy was matching mine, you know. So he would play soccer, football, every day, every morning. The whole day he's teaching me kickboxing and all those things. So that was my life really well. I was still a child. So I just knew somehow, somewhere, something was wrong with me or something was different with me when I was still young. So yeah, that was mostly at my young age. And then when I was a teenager, I I became a basketballer, a very good one, by the way. So I used to hide myself there on basketball, uh, dress code at school, all those things. So, all these things that come with how we're raised here is just, we're raised in a very patriarchal, heteronormative way. So, yeah, I know I know for sure it is recent that we got to know that even dress code has no gender. Anyone can dress the way they want. But of course, how we're raised here, you a male should dress in a certain way as much as a female. So I use my sports career as mostly like an avenue for me to hide, to hide myself and be safe or feel safe. So yeah, and then I transitioned to university, but of course I started talking to other trans folks here in Uganda when I was somehow outed on social media in 2014 when they passed the first anti-gay bill, the Kill the Gays bill, whereby these people confuse gender identity with sexual orientation. So I was a victim and I was outed on social media, and then a lot of stuff happened to me, depression and all that, stress, isolation, like self-isolation, and then threats from public, of course, because they knew me and they're like, "How are you?" So that this government has put out a bill or a law that criminalizes and does not allow your existence. Those things don't exist in Africa. Whatever you say. So me, I was confused by the time. I was like, no, how am I going to even explain to them that I'm a trans person? You know, that I am actually, I am not a gay person. I am trans. It was, it was tough for me. Oh, so yeah. Then, of course, I had to leave. I talked to one of the trans women here, and she told me, if you're wise, what to do, just leave, leave where you are, and be with people who are just like you. And that is when I got to know that actually I'm not the only trans person in Uganda. Yeah. So I left home, came to Kampala. I was studying, and of course, still the challenges were there. You know, my my identification documents are different from how I look from now. So it's just been a very tough journey for me. But then the time is when I started reading about medical transitioning for trans folks because I really badly needed it for me to pass,
Mhm.
yeah, to pass in public and also like align my body to how I felt.
Thank you for sharing. I wanted to ask, you were talking about the tough environment and the very difficult journey you've been through with all the still rising attacks and hate against trans people in Uganda. How do you manage to still find to stay safe and resilient and hopeful?
So I am actually a bit lucky, I can say,
Mhm.
because I have mentors that actually really cares for me so much. Because yeah, oh, they trained me and the rest of the guys. So we started a trans people organization, which actually has given me platform first of all to survive in a way, you know. Because being resilient, yes, safety begins with someone, an individual. I know that for sure. But also, for Uganda, if you do not have people that care for you, mostly within our community, I can say you suffer. Like you can be assaulted and you don't have anyone to let know that you've been assaulted or you know. So I have a small support system, yes, but also where I live, um, my house that I stay in, I rent and live with my landlady. So I came out to her because I didn't want anyone else to tell her who I am and maybe give her misinformation you get about me. So I had to tell her that, you know what, Mama, I am a trans person. I was born like this. So, and then she's like, oh, okay, does your mom know about this? Then I told her, yes, my family, a few of my family members. So that was like, I was like laying foundation for my safety, first of all, from where I live, my residence. So, uh, she has been keeping me safe from a lot of stuff out there. Of course, they talk about me. People have seen me before I started transitioning medically and now. So some of them know. They know that I am actually different. So some of them talk and say, yeah, that guy is lying. We've known this person for some time, you know, because I doesn't look different and I have facial hair. My voice has changed. You know, my body is more masculine than it was before. So yeah, those are people that bring in insecurities mostly for trans folks. People just talk, you know, talking leads to now physical attacks and all that out there. And it happened, of course, when they just passed the anti-homosexuality bill. When it was still the bill before it became an act, there was a lot of chaos in Uganda. That one, the whole world knows. So I was one of the victims. Uh, I was just trying to buy breakfast in the morning, and I was attacked by three guys that hit me and threw me in a trench, and they just wanted to kill me until a few people came and told them, "Why are you attacking someone who's just walking at the outside? That this is like these are homosexuals that are recruiting people and doing what and what because they saw a photo of me with one of the leaders, of course, the Dr. Frank Mugisha. People know him, so he posted a photo of us on his X account. So they went and extracted it and put it in the community WhatsApp group. So that photo moved around, and they're like, "Oh, we know this one." So yeah, that is how I was. I was assaulted not once, twice, but uh, my resilience is just being here, being myself, and avoiding places that bring trouble. And also, of course, we have entities that provide us with legal aid. So at least we know a few lawyers. Some of them are trans, some of them are just queer people. So I let them know that this is happening. So yeah, that's how I've been navigating. But mostly, what has helped me survive is the fact that I started transitioning medically, and some of them who have known me before think in their own ways like, maybe this person has biological issues. Let's just leave him alone.
What was it like transitioning medically in a hostile place like Uganda, given the laws and then social norms and the way like that the queer community and trans folks have been treated over the years?
First of all, my family, not all of them accepted me. But the handful that I have are enough because when I started transitioning, they're like, my steps were like, I'm destroying the Otita name, that's a family name. So they they threatened to poison me and kill me, something like that. And of course, it was tough. My mama heard about that. She told me we really need to be careful with these people. And then also, I was exposed to now big entities like Interpol and then the national entity that is responsible for registration and identification. So though it helped somehow, I can say, because I did advocacy with them. I told them who I am, and I told them how my national ID being different from how I look, I mean the names and then the gender marker is affecting me as a person. I can't get a job, I can't travel because immigration has to call you aside and ask why is your ID different from how you look. First of all, what is wrong with you, until they take your prints to prove that actually that is your national ID. So I yes, I've gone through tough times. Yes, and also uh, there was blessings, I can say, through all that pain that I went through because I made friends with a few doctors here that some of them sit in parliamentary committees and they try to do advocacy and say, you guys, you're harassing trans people, and actually yet they exist. The law is affecting trans people more than even the homosexuals themselves. So yeah, I understand they are homophobic. The doctors are homophobic. They are not transphobic because yeah, this is because of all these factors, the religion and culture and all that. So I understand them, but I couldn't say much. I even when they published an article using my on my medical results. You can imagine they published an article when I didn't know. It's just someone who told me, "Oh, dude, do you know that one of the national newspapers, your story is somewhere?" Yeah. So that is when I looked back and I'm like, okay, so these guys are doing advocacy without even asking me first how they should do it because it can be outing me, putting me in danger, and yeah, it's a good thing they're trying to do to help, but the only person who can guide them would be me or some other trans folks, you know. So it's been back and forth, just like writing for your life. Yeah, but transitioning has been really amazing because at least I had information about it. I didn't just start it like that because it took me about 5 to 7, 8 years to finally start with my hormone replacement therapy, and then recently in December last year, 17th, I had my top surgery here in Kampala with one of the actually one of the best surgeons in the country. So he's a friend. He has become family, and he's very very trans friendly. And yeah,
The community you're talking, like you have friends in that are also activists. Have you felt that the decline in international and especially from the US funding has impacted you or the people around you? Have you noticed any other impacts on the Ugandan trans community since, say, Trump took power, or like these funding cuts have been happening?
yes, definitely. Actually, that statement that he made about his administration only knowing that there are only two genders that exist, female or male, has caused us a lot of trouble here, including myself, because someone actually told that to my face and told me, stop saying that you're actually trans. There are only two genders, even your people, because they think that queer folks are queer because they're influenced by the West. So they're like, even the people who influence you guys to be who you are rejected you. Donald Trump says there are only two genders. So I was just silent to avoid issues, because these are all politicians globally and locally, you know, playing around with people's lives with funny statements, not knowing the impacts. But also for the funding cuts, trans folks who have been on HIV response, prevention, for example, and then treatment and care have been suffering, to be honest, because when that waiver came, a lot of mainstream people, cisgender people who are like on HIV response, were rushing to health centers to pick refills. Like somebody's picking refills of about 6 months and forgetting that, other people need. So because of stigma and discrimination, there's no way a trans person can compete with them. They sit back and you know they sit back and now start thinking and asking community leaders that, okay, well, how are we going to get prep and pep and art, maybe, how are we going to get the counseling that we used to get and all those things. So, and because of all this mix, yeah, Trump himself has said actually he's trying to erase my community, my existence. First of all, he's trying to erase it, and then the trans folks who HIV response services are now scared even more, because how are you going to say you're trans and then you're supposed to be having, of course, tailored services? You don't just talk to a trans person just like you're talking to a cisgender person if they've come for service. So yeah, they've all that mix made them fall back. And to be honest, I don't know, from the recent report that there are new 38,000 HIV infections in Uganda. I'm certain that my community actually among those, because of most of them survive on sex work. And yeah, they are definitely affected very 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 immensely.
Sort of connecting everything. What, and if anything, gives you hope today? What sort of message would you like to share with other trans folks in Uganda?
I think we have to work together, first of all, as trans folks. Like, we've been trying to organize these few years to put ourselves together and put out our priorities. And yes, I know for sure if we work together, there's going to be more resilience and more work could be done on so many aspects of us being trans people, because we're looking at um, working together on mental health first of all, which is actually highly degrading, you know. Uh, and then it's because of all these things that are happening both in Uganda and also internationally. Yeah, and another thing is uh, working together also helps us uh, reach more individuals, more trans individuals on their priority needs. So it's just resilience and working together and being positive no matter what. Like just like we've been coming through where we're used to being abused, which is not normal for any person. We expect that anytime. That's why we're not surprised. So that's what keeps us strong, because even if they made statements, we're not surprised. We're like, is it worse than what they have said about 5 years ago or 3 years ago? So that's what keeps us going, because we already know that our opposition are always just trying to use any avenue and copycat and hurt us. So yeah, we just have to stay together, be resilient, and work tirelessly, and also look for funding, of course, as you know, as a collective to support the community. And when Derek requested me to do this, I was happy because I've done a few podcasts before, and I've told stories during like, trans days, like International Trans Day Visibility. I sat in a panel, and a lot of people were surprised actually to see me, because the floor has been making all of us hide, you know? So when they saw me, like, oh, dude, you look so different, man, what's happening? So I told them, and they're not interested. A lot of them want to do, to have siders, because they're like, man, if we walked within the streets, someone can beat us, but you can survive because you've transitioned. But also, transitioning does not just, it's not something you wake up and do it in the morning. No, it's a process. So this is really amazing information that people should get. And also people need to know that amidst all the crazy legal environment in Uganda, yeah, to be honest, I am a living testimony, because I've had top surgery and I'm healing. Yeah. I'm healing so well. And I've done it in Uganda, in Kampala actually, where these these anti-gender people are so like crazy on, okay, what are they doing? They want to stop anyone that is supporting us. We have an ally now who can actually help us with surgery, and he doesn't even really charge that much, no, because he knows, first of all, this is a very poor community, like in a poor country. So he just does it because he knows it's necessary for us, and it's like a blessing, yeah, for our community. So yeah, that's it.
No, of course. Yeah, no, it's definitely stories like these that give us hope. We kept talking to Jay after the interview was no longer being recorded, and we reached a conversation we felt should be heard by more people. Here's Jay talking about police in Uganda and how they act towards queer people and their aggressors.
I was saying that what happens to mostly, you can say, trans folks, because we're the face of the LGBT community, of course, yeah. So what happens is, when you're assaulted, you cannot report to police, because uh, first, when you report an assault, even if you're bleeding out, you're dying, or you have broken bones or whatever, they do not listen or look at you, your humanity, first of all, you being a victim of assault. They look at your existence, first of all, say, okay, why are you gay? They don't even understand what a trans person is, to be honest. They don't even ask. They just call all of us gay. So why are you gay? You are arrested on reporting a case of assault. They arrest you instead of the perpetrator. Imagine, they let the perpetrator go, but you, who is the victim, and we've never fought back these people. We just let them do whatever they do, because we are scared already. First of all, you're scared to hit the guy back. They hit us, and then they just get away with it. So when they see anyone that looks like what they've said on the news, they come for you. They come like five of them, six. So, you can't fight them and they beat you to death, you know, not to survive because you're not supposed to exist in their society. That's what they say. We are evil, we are this, we are raising the African culture, this has never existed. We are being hired and paid uh, by the West. But imagine how poor my community is, how these out trans folks can call you and tell you I've not eaten for 3 days. Yeah. So anything that happens in the West, they copycat in our parliament. That is it. Anything that happens, if there is an anti-gender movement, maybe having anything in the West, in the US, for example, you will see them here also organizing for meetings. They want to attack our communities just because something has happened in America attacking LGBT folks. So we're worried, of course, that's why they removed the gender. I think then they said, okay, we're talking about sex, how you're born, the sex you're born with. So they're tying us up there. So if you're found with someone of the same sex that you're born with, that is trouble for you. So they don't care about your gender identity. They just want to know, what are you doing with this person who's born just like you? We're scared. You can't show up. We're young leaders who want to advocate for our rights. Yeah, everything went back like that. But we're surviving. We're here. So, like I told you, even my doctors told them. They sit on the Uganda Parliamentary Health Committee. They went and told them, you guys, seriously, you need to sit back and stop being harsh and using bias to pass laws. You need to listen to us. Look at a human being in a biological perspective, please. But then they said they may. Of course, we had rumors that they wanted to enact an anti-transgender bill because of some of the community members were taken in, given money, and then they exposed other people, including me. Oh, yeah, I'm like a celebrity by the. Every time there's a picture out there of homosexuals, at least my face is there. I have to hide myself. Yeah. Because we go for these meetings, to be honest, Derek knows these things. We go for these meetings and we take photos. And these photos are put on social media. These guys go and pick them and they advertise us on TikTok. They get likes. They get. Hey! By the time you know it, someone is sending you a WhatsApp message with the same video, like, nigga, are you aware that you're actually trending out there as a huge homosexual in Uganda? Ah, dangerous. so, so yeah, we just survive, stay home, chill, you know.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask, like, how do you manage to feel safe with all of that?
I just hide myself mostly. Mariana, you can't go anywhere. Like you just have to now you have to call your bike person to bring you food, maybe. You have to uh have Wi-Fi or internet. Stay indoors mostly. Because all this neighborhood that I am in, they know me. But just because some are civilized, until it sloped down a little bit, like 2 or 3 kilometers away from the house, that is where I was hit in the morning. Because here is just residential, there are no shops to buy anything, so you have to slope down. That is why I was got there. I didn't report because of the same issue. If I'd reported, I was going to be arrested. To be honest, they were going to arrest me, and I couldn't even walk. I was just lifted. Yeah, they lifted me, so they would not care that I can't walk. I've been hit. I'm bleeding. My ribcage was a wreck. My head, part of my head. So, like, that time I was in shock, of course. But I know if I'd gone to police, it's not far. There's a police station just close by. If I'd gone to report, those guys were going to come and just say one word, this is a homosexual, and that would be enough. And that would destroy me. I'd be arrested there and then and let them go. Yeah. So safety is just stay home, make sure that if I hear anything or if I see anything or anyone has been hurt, I just communicate. We communicate to our lawyers. Of course, we have free lawyers for the community from these like from HIRAF. You've heard of HIRAF? and Ubuntu. So they offer legal aid to the whole LGBT community. So yeah, you just let them know if something has happened, so they show up and they argue with them. They argue with them. Sometimes even the lawyers are threatened to be arrested. It'd be like, okay, why are you standing for homosexuals? Maybe you are too. So it's just stuff like that. Very, very tough. Yeah. But they'll tell you the truth. The last thing I can say is Trump is playing a huge role. So anything he says, these guys think that he's right. And if he's just using his politics and his hate to actually destroy community, destroy human beings. And they don't know that when you speak, it leads to, for us here in Uganda, when a legislator speaks something, the locals take action into their hands. That is why people being beaten.
Yeah, and then we wish that your story and these stories could have as much reach as what Trump says. I feel like the world would be a different place if everyone could hear what you're saying.
Yeah. And for him, I can only, if he could just hear me, yeah, I could have been born in this body, yes, but I've had the first surgery, but I'm also going to have the second surgery and take that, whatever makes him think that I have to identify as a woman. No, having certain genitals does not mean that does not close you in a certain box that is who you are. The trans folks are actually transitioning. I have been in so many groups that trans men have had bottom surgeries, and it's because they want to pass, like they want their bodies to feel to look how they feel. So if Donald Trump thinks that someone having whatever is between someone's legs is supposed to define their gender identity, then I'm also going to start having consultations for my bottom surgery. And I'll write a story maybe to reach him one day that, what, being a man or woman does not have to be that you should have a male sexual organ or a female sexual organ. No, it's not that. Because there's no way, there's nobody taught me, nobody recruited me to be trans. No, I started transitioning when I was 2.5 years old, and my mother thought maybe it's just because I'm a baby. No, things got worse and worse when I was growing. She's like, oh, okay. That's why when I came out to her, I told her, Mom, by the way, I'm a man. She's like, okay, all right. I have seen this before, but I didn't know what it means. So explain to me. And being a mother, my mother's not even really that learned. No, but she's just someone who's a fast learner. She wants to learn and know things. Yeah. If an African woman like that can think better and accept people, who is Trump? Okay, the rich billionaire in the world. And I feel some relief after talking about certain things. There's some things that we keep in our hearts. And yeah. And thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you, Jay, for sharing your moving story. It's so incredibly brave to be so vulnerable and share your story like this. It really does inspire others and has the power to change lives. You can listen to more episodes of Debunque on YouTube, Spotify, and all the other audio platforms. Thank you for listening. I'm your host, Mariana Schwitze, and we'll see you next month.